That's awesome. Why do you like Richie Sambora so much? What connects with you?
Richie Sambora. So Richie Sambora is my first guitar hero. He was like my Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember... I think I mentioned Big Breakfast earlier.
Yeah.
He was on the Big Breakfast, like doing his second solo album. He was on it, and I was like, I just read about him in Total Guitar or something.
He's real.
Yeah, he's a real guy. And I just loved that. And I remember getting a couple of live albums, but I got the live at Wembley on the These Days tour. And it was that lovely blend of blues rock with rock.
Yeah, with full high gains.
Yeah, but I loved the tone he had, everything like that. And he played for the song.
Yeah.
And, he would do it. I've got gain now, but he would, let's give it a gain on that.
You have gain?
Yeah. Those kind of big...
You have more gain?
That idea is what I learned from him. But I didn't sit there going... doing that. It was just kind of just hearing it. And I loved that, And I probably the guitar faces probably subliminally came in from seeing.
Well, he looks the part as well.
He looks the part, So you got to have a little bit of guitar.
And he's a little bit different too. Slash is such a easy avatar, isn't it?
Sure, yeah.
Guy in the hat. Jimi Hendrix the same.
Yeah.
This was a little bit. You had to know a little bit to know who Richie Sambora was.
Yeah, but the thing is though, he is, he was the songwriting partner of all those songs.
So they only exist because he was part of it.
Absolutely, So if it would be a very different band, I think, if he was. Well, now he's not there.
It is different, and a mix of acoustic and electric as well in the songs.
Yeah. Oh, he's definitely, he's kind of that Jimmy Page school of like, the arranger, songwriter, kind of thing. Where same thing with Jimmy Page. Phenomenal guitar player, but he's a songwriter first, and producers first, But yeah, with Sambora's playing, I loved the tone and also just, the general playing for the song. If you listen to any of his solos, he, up to like probably the Crush album, I'd say. Well, actually, These Days is where for me that was the pinnacle.
Yeah.
But every single solo works for the song, trying to remember stuff on top of my head, but if You Could Have a Bad Name, it's got the harmonic, and then he's got the octaves he would do. No, he'd put octaves and like with the Wanted Dead or Alive, he'd put power chords
in the middle of the song.
The octave kind of stuff going on,
which is a mix of styles. Again, that's not pure 80s. That's more of a 90s and 2000s guitar thing to add more of a.
I guess so. Yeah.
Octaves idea.
Yeah, but I mean, he was doing that though in like 86.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy to think, isn't it? And he'll do that a lot.
So playing for the song though, I want to go back to this. It's so important. Everyone wants to be, soloist. Spotlight on them and doing their solo. That's perhaps why people like a Clapton or a Slash, right?
Yeah.
But that maybe happens for 10 seconds on the recording.
Yeah.
Maybe 20 seconds if they do it live.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the time, they're not that guy, but they're adding so much. Yeah. Often lead stuff. We talked about Mark Knopfler not long ago. And, he's playing lead throughout the full song. It's not just the solo.
Yeah.
So what with Richie Sambora, what is this playing for the song?
Well, regarding the solo stuff, it's a bit like, again, I mentioned Jimmy Page, where you're it's not necessarily licks. You're listening to the chord changes. So if you take something like Stairway to Heaven, where it's got A minor, G and F.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of that solo, and he finishes on that F note.
Yeah. And highlighting the fact you're on an F chord.
So he's playing F chord, he finishes on an F note, So with Sambora, where he's got he's finished on that G note and you just play the G chord, He's not thinking live he might go off and have
do a bit more.
A Sambora moment.
But on the song people listen to it more and the gymnastics kind of can pop less on a pop recording.
Yeah.
Even something like Wanted Dead or Alive. It's essentially a pop song.
Of course it is.
Hugely popular, and it would sound great on any radio station, really, at any time.
Yeah, I think that's why they were separated from the 80s bands. Yeah,
they could keep going.
It just got a bit silly, didn't it? You know what I mean? And soloing was... It just made no sense.
And there was a lot more that could transcend any trend because it was good songs. There was more to it, and it was always going to be popular in any era.
But another thing as well, when you said playing for the song, it's like Living on a Prayer. A Talk Box probably hadn't been on record on a hit song in probably like 15 years.
Well, that's what a lot of people will think of when they think of Richie, right?
But I mean, that kind of... all that kind of stuff in there, and then you got the solos, top of my head.
There's such a mix of stuff there.
Yeah.
So the first thing that popped for me was like, there's not many other guitar players would do that. That kind of bam, 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 bam. Can you do that again? Just loop that a couple of bam, bang, bang. That's a bit of Nile Rodgers.
A little bit, yeah. It is, yeah.
And then the arpeggio from like a Martin Knopfler.
And then the quick 80s.
And then it's fast to shred as you can.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But, you know, again, playing for that song, highlighting that C note when you're on the C power chord, you know, and then bending up a D to an E. All these little things where it's you know, you're arranging.
And I think guitarists often think they have to like know every note on the fretboard, like what's that, before they're able to get anywhere near that. And actually, they're thinking about this more like a singer. Da 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 da. You can play that on.
You can hum it.
It's a melody that a singer could sing, and I think a lot of your favourite players anyway tend to sing a bit. They maybe don't have. Clapton doesn't have the greatest voice. But Hendrix doesn't have the greatest singing voice. But they all sing a little bit. Mm-hmm. And when they're playing the guitar, they're still singing.
Yeah.
They might do some licks in there, and I've heard Paul Gilbert say he kind of learned guitar because he couldn't buy Jimmy Page's or who's Robert Plant's voice.
Right.
He could buy Jimmy Page's gear and learn to play like him. He got a lot closer than he could ever with the mechanics here, right?
Yeah.
So you're sort of using the guitar as a voice, especially with lead, but mixing different stuff is a wonderful thing to learn.
Oh man.
With electric or acoustic.
Definitely.
Final words on Richie Sambora. Which songs?
Well, also, what a name as well. It's like you're destined to be a rock star called Richie Sambora. You know. Sorry to interrupt. Sorry.
Not at all. I've got a buddy of mine's called Johnny Fever. Of course, he's the lead singer in a band.
Of course he is. Yeah. I can see him with spiky hair. And very tight black jeans, leather jacket, maybe a white holy vest. You know, that's a little chain belt.
But final words on Richie Sambora. So which ones have you done on your channel?
I did once what I learned from Richie Sambora. Yeah. I did a whole thing.
Was there one particular solo you did?
That was Wanted Dead or Alive, I believe, on there. But also for a really cool solo, I would say check out Dry County.
Nice.
It's probably one of the epic Bon Jovi. It's like a 9-minute song.
Yeah.
And he starts off again very blue. I don't know off by heart. Unfortunately, it's been years since I've done it, but very bluesy kind of going on, you know. And then it goes in some kind of big build up, and then he's a big wig out solo. He's got a big. He does a big run going on there and stuff like that. And again, so he's still got that technique there if he wants it. But just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. And I think that's something to take away from, you know, if you've got an 8-bar solo in your band, you wrote your song, it's like, okay, I'm going to do a solo. And I remember being 17 and you just want to I can do this. But
minor pentatonic licks.
Got it, man. Hello, Paul Gilbert. You know, I think live is cool to, you know, blah, blah.
Yeah, you've got more freedom to mix it up.
But I think the biggest ego should always be the song.
Yeah.
And I think that's the great thing you can take from Sambora when it comes to songwriting and putting guitar parts down. And you mentioned it earlier as well. It's like, what can I do to help enhance this song sound better? And chances are you'll become a better player for it, because then you will start thinking of those vocal ideas, you know, instead of always wanting to do that, you know, little kind of semitone vocal bend. Whatever happening, no. So he does that in Live on a Prayer. So he's in that minor note. So the arpeggio, really, isn't it? You know. So now, if I take that out of the equation, I've got a cool little wide. Oh, sorry. Cool idea. I can
absolutely expand. You know? Yeah, plenty to steal.
And now it's vocal-esque as opposed to look at my new lick. You know, I've got so
there is room for that, but it's a short. It's like that should be the highlight of the solo. Hopefully, the highlight of the song. But you know, it never lasts very. Even something that does have some gymnastics, like. You know, something by Rush comes to mind. Like it only does that for the start, and then it kind of stops and does something else, right?
Yeah.
So only little highlights. It's not like that's not the full thing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And they will punch out more, don't they, as opposed to it being all the time. You know, if you just got a constant, you know, sweep stuff going on, it's like, I'm worn out, you know.
Yeah.
So it's good to flirt a little bit.
And it gives you a rest as well. It just gives you finger rest. Literally can't keep it up.
God mighty, yeah. So, but yeah, Dry County's a good, and his solo albums. Well, he's got 3, I think now. But Stranger This Town, Undiscovered Soul.
He did some stuff with Orianthe as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of that one. I've heard bits of it. That's a bit more of the dark era of Sambora, I would say.
Okay.
So, yeah, check out the early stuff. But Undiscovered Soul's great. There's a song called Who I Am. Yeah. God, that's very Living on a Prayer, actually. It's got a cool kind of Telecaster, very, again, late 90s, so he's not as much gain going on. Telecaster, and it's great. That's Undiscovered Soul album. Who Am I? It's
gotcha.
Yeah, check that out. It's so yeah, Dry County and Who Am I from his solo album.
Check him out. Look forward to it.
Richie Sambora.
Faded away.